Alright, we got a comment on one of my shorts talking about Bespell Strikes being a good Battle Oracle feat, bringing up several points that are often brought against the Battle Oracle. So I thought I'd talk about those. Alright, I'm not going to try and pronounce the username, but whenever I'm quoting, I'm going to have a hand up like this. A common attack against Battle Oracle is saying it's better to just play a War Priest, a Battle Harbinger, an Animist, or even a Divine Sorcerer. Well, in that regard, War Priest and Battle Harbinger are essentially different kinds of Gish that more focus on the strikes and then supporting those strikes with spells rather than using both weapons and spells to attack. Because of what they trade off, they fulfill a specific role in a party and are good in specific team combinations, and cannot fill specific roles as well as a Battle Oracle can. A War Priest can heal, but it doesn't have as much of a spell proficiency, so it can't remove conditions as well. If there's nobody else using debuff spells, it's less accurate with those, therefore it's not getting those boosts to accuracy. Therefore, it's not getting anything from its boosted weapon proficiency. Battle Harbinger is a complicated issue because it's essentially a martial that for early on has most of its spellcasting intact but fewer slots, but then later loses it, and has very consistent buffing capabilities. Essentially, it's kind of the best martial in the game. Is it better than the Battle Oracle, like for specifically hitting people with a weapon? Sure, but it's serving a different role on the team. And saying that you'd be better off with the Divine Sorcerer is really odd. That's like saying you'd be better off gishing with a class that had less HP, less armor proficiency, or required a feat to gain martial weapon proficiency, rather than coming with an ability to attain it for a focus point, and then had the same number of spells, but had less control over what the fourth one could be, and then knew fewer spells, and had fewer ways to gain more spells per day, and then over the course of the game knew even fewer spells. It's like saying that because that's exactly what they're saying. What you've got to understand is a lot of these people on the Reddit saw that it lost heavy armor proficiency and baseline martial weapon proficiency and decided that they were going to hate it then and there and will do anything to convince themselves that it's bad, and say things that don't even make any sense. For example, he references a Reddit comment saying, "A wizard with weapon familiarity is vastly superior to Battle Oracle because it was so gutted." That's the equivalent of saying because the Battle Oracle lost heavy armor proficiency and martial weapons, a class that doesn't have either of those things is superior. There's a reason there's a series of videos on my channel exclusively about Reddit's bad takes.